And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Marotta, host of the show, and we are live here in Goshen, New York. We are on or at C.J. Hooker Middle School, and we are on just almost an hour away from a TED Talk here at Goshen City School District. And again, Andrew Marotta here live on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. I'm excited to be here with you this afternoon. And yeah, we are on location. We had a one difficulty after another in terms of technology and connecting on the Wi-Fi. So we are outside in the courtyard here. It is actually a beautiful day. And myself and today's guest, Goshen High School Assistant Principal and former Mayor Kyle Roddey, will be joining me in a moment. He's one of the featured speakers here this evening. And this is where he went to middle school. This is his school district. And we're going to be talking TED Talks, leadership, life, and in his role as a school administrator now back in his home district. So thanks for tuning in. Today's show is sponsored by our friends Rocketbook. If you've watched the show before, you know about Rocketbook and what they've done for me. It is a reusable notebook. I got my pen here that works with it. And I'm going to take notes today. I'm going to take notes at the TED Talks here tonight. And then I'm going to scan it right into my Google Drive. Each page has a spot where you could designate it to your school email, your school Google Drive, your personal Google Drive. So this will go into my Education, Leadership, and Beyond Drive, and I'm going to be taking notes. So thanks to Rocketbook for sponsoring the show. If you are interested in Rocketbook, go to their website, rocketbook.com, punch in the code Marotta20. You will get a 20% discount on their stuff. If you're watching live today, leave us a question or a comment for myself or Kyle, and we'd love to hear from you. So let's get rolling. Before we bring in Kyle, the opening segment, TED Talks. Is it something that you do? Do you watch them? Do you listen to them? And have you been to one? I'm really excited to be here today in the Goshen School District to watch this TED Talk. And again, Kyle Roddey is going to be one of the speakers there. And I've never been to one. So coming into this setting here, coming into this program, I want to learn something tonight. I want to be inspired tonight. I want to hear something about leadership. And I want to hear great stories. There's a book, and I usually reference the books at the end, but there's a book called Talk Like TED. And it's all about the greatest TED Talks and what they're about and what I've learned about TED Talks from watching so many and being so excited about them is the stories. You have to be a good storyteller for your audience. They're generally about 8 minutes long, and we're going to learn what Kyle's going to talk about here in a moment. So if TED Talks are not in your routine and they are not something that you normally do, my advice to you is to give it a try. Go see one, go on YouTube and type in a subject you're passionate about and put TED Talk, and I guarantee there's going to be a TED Talk about that subject. So check them out. Check out the book, Talk Like TED. But let's get to it because he's got to go on. Welcome in today. Let me scoot over.
Okay.
You come on this side.
Okay.
I'll scoot over. This is Kyle Roddey.
Thank
Welcome
you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
Come on in. This
All
is
right.
your old stomping ground.
Yes, it is.
We're in this one here.
Okay.
Kyle. Is this where you used to have lunch out here, or is this a little?
No, actually, the back portion of this building was an addition after we left.
Okay. Which side is
So-
that? This side?
Yeah, this side that we're looking at here, I believe.
Okay.
But it's beautiful. They did a great job with it. It's one of those New Deal buildings, just a beautiful building. So
Okay.
Definitely enjoyed my time here.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on Education, Leadership, Beyond. And this is Kyle Roddey. Kyle's in his first year as assistant principal at Goshen High School. But more importantly, tonight, you are one of the featured speakers here at Goshen's TED Talk. And if they're watching live, Kyle, where can they find it? Is it live? Is it going to be broadcasted? Where can they find it if they're watching right now?
So there's a website they created. If you search Goshen TEDx, it should pop. The two organizers, John Rediker and Eric Harris. They're both teachers in Goshen. John Redicker is also our part-time director of technology as well. These guys have just worked so hard, so that they definitely created social media and a presence there. So I believe it's going to be streamed live on social media, on Facebook, and also on the website as well. So, and there'll be certainly things on YouTube afterwards. It's going to be a great show.
And so, Kyle, like, what are you talking about tonight? What's your? I want you to give it all away, but what's your theme today?
So I'm talking about youth play. Goshen. I went to this middle school. I went to Goshen College, and I came home. But not just in Goshen, but in the Hudson Valley, don't do that. We raise our children here, and they graduate, and they kind of go off into the years, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for them. It's not a critical piece.
You went to school here, you were the mayor here, and now you're working in the district. So you are the opposite of that.
I am, but a lot of people that I love haven't returned to Goshen, and for everyone it's different. Everyone's life path is different. We want young people to go out and see the world, to climb Everest and sail the seven seas, as they say. For me, my path led me right back home. I had a great experience here, and I knew I wanted to build a life here and give back to my community. So I've been fortunate.
So along that theme, Kyle, tell me about the preparation for your talk here. Is it 18 minutes? Are they strict with the 18 minutes? Tell me about your preparation for tonight.
So mine should be anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. I don't really script it out to a letter, because when I do, I'll usually mess up one thing and then I'll get all off track. So I try to do it off the cuff. I have my bullet points that I want to hit, and if I stay on track, and I have some slides, just images on the slides, if I stay on track, it should be around 10 minutes.
And have you rehearsed? Is it memorized? Like, how many times did you do it?
So I did they did the full rehearsal 2 full days. So they had every single speaker go and do full rehearsals from A to Z, but they also had a bunch of other optional rehearsals as well. So I participated in a few of my own. I scripted it out, but when I do something like this, I'll a council person.
Okay.
So I was 23, and I was speaking in my first time as an elected official at an Eagle Scout ceremony. And I'm an Eagle Scout from the same troop. So it was kind of nice, and it should have been a pretty comfortable experience. I was so nervous. I was speaking on stage, came over while I was speaking, put his arm around me and said, "Don't worry, we're all friends here." My presentation had a rocky start, like I do it, the more comfortable. I still get nervous at times, and I still stutter and make mistakes, but for the most part, it's something I enjoy. I like being able to communicate with people.
And this TED Talk tonight, tell me about the origination of it. Like, whose idea was it, and the work that went into getting here? We're an hour live before the talk here. Tell me all that went into this moment right now.
So, I'm a big reader. I read stuff about Goshen and all the way to the world issues. And one thing you see is there's this massive movement out of suburban areas, out of rural areas into cities. And Goshen is a suburban area. We live an hour outside of New York City. And it's something where if you look at places like the Detroits of the world, where there's really downtrodden economies, a lot of times that can be tied to people not moving back there. So, it's something I'm passionate about. We're nowhere near there, to be very clear. Goshen's a place where we're gaining population and this is coming in. But if you look at all of New York State, New York was one of the few states to lose population. So leaving the Hudson Valley, upstate New York has a whole nother level of challenges. So the question is, with the world changing and with technology changing, what can we do to stem that tide? Are there opportunities? And I think there are some. I know that's what I'll speak about today.
Okay. So this was a group effort, and you formulated. Did they tell you what to speak on? Or you?
No, every speaker, including, there's some young people as young as middle school that are going to be speaking today, 7th to 8th graders. Everyone came up with their own topic. The teacher help people refine their speeches and work on their slides and presentational skills as needed. But for the most part, this was organic, where every speaker today had something they're passionate about, had an idea they wanted to share, and that's what they're going to be doing.
And I know you're passionate about Goshen and the city and the town and all that it is. Having grown up here, and again, you served as the mayor, and now you're an assistant principal in the schools. Are there some things happening in the schools like tonight? This is a win-win, right? It's a win for the school and it's a win for the community.
Sure.
What are some other examples of maybe win-wins for the school and the community of initiatives that are going on here in the Goshen School District?
So the nice thing is it's always been that way. Back from when I was going to school and I was in the marching band and I had to carry the bass drum around on the Memorial Day parade, which was very heavy. So there's always been a lot of synergy and connections with the community. Something that is newer that I was involved in as mayor and now as assistant. We get these, the high school technology department cuts out a CNC machine. The horse racing here, the oldest functioning one in the country, and the Harness Racing Museum Hall of Fame, some Goshen plugs there. And we have different artists paint these horses and put them around town. And some of those artists are students, some are adult artists, part of the Goshen Art League. But it's something where it's the Goshen Art Department, the technology department, and folks in the community getting together. So that's another great example.
That's awesome. Yes, and I know that racetrack is one of the cores of the community here. Let's talk leadership for a moment.
Sure.
Again, you've been serving in a leadership role, so you're still a young man, but how have you transformed into the role of assistant principal? And tell me some of the leadership techniques that you use on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Well, I would first say I'm still transforming every day. I'm new in my role. I'm learning every day. And the nice thing is I'm surrounded by amazing individuals, whether it's, from every single position in the building, every role. There are amazing, incredible people that teach me things every day, including the students themselves. So I think in any leadership position, that constant drive to be better is essential. And that's something I try to really take home every day. I try to learn something every day. So I think that driving to improve is really important. And one thing I learned as mayor is collaboration is really key. Being able to work together, work as part of a team, ask people's opinions. I try to be out of my office as much as possible, talking to people, faculty members, students. But again, I'm still new in the role. I'm not going to claim that I have it all figured out because I don't. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect, but every day I try to grow and I try to seek out other people that know a lot more than me. And I try to listen to those people, no matter who they are and what role they have.
So what is something that you've learned this year?
I think that one of the most important things is to be cognizant, and I'm sure you can appreciate this as being a building leader, is teachers' time and being cognizant of teachers' time. I can have, a whole bunch of ideas of things I want to do and initiatives, and my other administrative partners, the same thing, but we have to understand the day constraints the teachers are already under with this, because teachers have they take on their own, they have their own identity, and then for administration to throw in a new initiative, it can really make things challenging. So it's about, me being able to better laser beam on certain things that I think would have a maximum impact, and then make sure that there's buy-in from the staff. And that's something that, I'm still getting better at every day, because, we have all these things we want to accomplish in leadership roles, but it's never push them. It's the people that work as part of that team throughout the building.
And you mentioned collaboration, and that was a great point about the teacher's time and all of that. And something I struggle with, people's comfort zone, right? They're comfortable. They have their periods off. They have their time, the flow of the day, right? And that all fits into that nice chunk of 8 hours, 7.5 hours. But I heard a great quote this year in doing this show. And Henry Ford said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. How do you get the leaders in this building, whether it's students or staff, out of their comfort zone and not thinking about faster horses, but building a car? How do you get people out of their comfort zone with respecting their time and the work they're doing?
Sure. Well, as a new assistant principal, I haven't even been there a full year. So, a lot of the thing that I've been focusing on this year is learning and listening. For me to go in as a new assistant principal and think that I know it all, or, really try to, force ideas out there, it wouldn't work, frankly, because I need everything, the day-to-day and how the building operates. And, a lot of things that sound great were actually tried 5 years ago and they didn't work for specific reasons. So it's been a lot of me trying to learn and educate myself. But I think, to more directly answer your question, it's about me not being afraid to ask for other people's opinions and to hear, I might you think, what are your thoughts? I think that hearing contrary views is really, really important. And it's something that, especially as a newer member of the building leadership team, I really try to strive to do. And sometimes I have to catch myself and remind myself about the power of contrary views, because no one person can think of all the different difficulties and stumbling blocks. And that's when, people do make mistakes. They try to move too fast.
Yeah.
So I'm listening and learning.
That's a great thing. One of the things I did one of my years at school is exit interviews. People, they're getting ready to close their years, and maybe getting that feedback from teachers is something that you can add. Kyle, another thing that's going on in your district is the leadership, the principal. You have an interim, I think,
yep.
Right? And it's going to be for one more year. Am I saying that right?
I don't think anything has been fully decided with that. Okay. So I would defer to him on that.
Okay. And again, I know you're not doing the hiring, but hopefully you'll have a say in who is hired. What type of leadership, are you looking for, right? You're part of the leadership team, but when that principal does get in place, what are you looking for in that principal?
Well, I think that right now the answer is easy, because we have an amazing principal. Mr. Heinzelman is our building leader right now, and he came into the building this October, but he was in the building 6 years before as the interim athletic director. And he graduated from Goshen back in the day as well. So he's someone who truly loves the community. And I really think he embodies everything that, we're looking for in a principal right now, because we have it. And it's my hope that he stays there for another 10 years. It really is, because, we have a very strong working relationship as an administrative team. Everyone gets along well. There's trust, which is really critical. And more than anything else, and I think this is something that needs to be true for all building leaders, every decision he makes is about the students. It's about what's best for the students, period. And that's all there is to it. So, I'm very blessed to have him as a mentor and as a colleague. And, I think that there's been a lot of stuff that as a building we've been able to do this year, but moving forward, really the sky is the limit.
Kyle, you mentioned about collaboration as mayor. And how long were you in that role?
I was mayor for a little over 7 years.
You were allowed 2 terms, or is it you could?
I was in my 4th term when I left the position to take this job.
And you could have kept going with that?
I could have.
Is it like New York City, like 2 times?
No, there's no term limits. I could have done it for another 10 years. I loved being mayor, and every day. I mean, I'm fortunate. I tell people I've been so lucky enough that in my life already, I've had 2 of my dream jobs, because I love being assistant principal and I love being mayor. So, it wasn't anything that I didn't love about it. It was just, I knew that my career path was education, and I wanted to be able to help the young people of Goshen and help others have the great experience in Goshen High School that I had. Yeah. So it allowed me to continue with my school leadership capacity, but also continue to serve the community I loved. So I was very blessed to have that as an option. And even to this day, I thank district leadership for that opportunity.
And so you mentioned about collaboration, something that you learned as mayor that you're bringing here. What were some other things that you learned as mayor that you now use in your day-to-day life as assistant principal?
So I think that one of the biggest challenges that I've faced is there's always so many great ideas out there. There's always so many topics that I want to learn about, whether it's restorative justice, social emotional learning, STEAM, different art stuff, 21st century learning. The buzzwords can go on, but a lot of those things are really exciting to learn about. I wrote a paper in getting my master's in leadership about restorative justice. So that was something that I was passionate about. But even as mayor, there were so many things that I wanted to focus on: supporting the arts, supporting music, infrastructure, cost-cutting measures, collaboration. So I think being able to focus on a few things and do those really, really well is one of the most important things that I've learned over the years. You don't have to be great at everything, but find a few things and do really, really good at them. Not to the detriment of others, but really push the envelope in a few small areas.
I like that. And someone that has a lot of energy and ideas, and that's something that people tell me is rein it in. Bring it in.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's bring it back to your TED Talk, because I know you got to get prepared and get on stage soon. What do you hope to accomplish tonight?
Well, I hope I can do justice to the event itself. First and foremost, a lot of people have worked so hard on this, so I hope that I can deliver a talk that is engaging for the audience, and I don't start crying on stage and run off in tears. So that's the bottom benchmark for me to meet. But I want people to really think about what as communities we can do to encourage our young people to come back home. A lot of times you see areas around the Hudson Valley that some areas are gentrifying and building up. I think of a Beacon, for example, or a Kingston. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on there. Goshen, most certainly. I'd be remiss to not mention that. So I think the question is, with all these great things going, how can we further make economic strides locally to allow young people to have jobs here that otherwise they would need to move to New York City to get? And that's a big challenge, and that's not an easy one. Some of these, someone wants they're not going to live in Orange County, New York, because there's no astronaut jobs here, as an extreme example. But even for law school, I know people that have graduated law school with $1 million in student debt. So to make that, to even be able to chip away at that, you can't get a job that allows you to. You got to go into starting salary is enough to really start chipping away at those student loans. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that stuff.
That's interesting to think about. And I had a chance to interview Dr. Louvel Brown, who's a superintendent up in Ithaca.
Okay.
And again, Ithaca has challenges here. It's not very similar to Goshen, but it's a smaller city in the state of New York. And he mentioned, I am a community leader first, a father second, and a school leader third. And he put those in order like that. And, you seem to be going back and forth between community leader and school AP. You're doing this and talking about that. You have some kids speaking tonight too. I think that's great. Have any of the kids come to you about advice or how to speak publicly, or what conversations with the kids? There's
more students than there are graduates that are speaking. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
and it's from, as I said, as young as years. To answer your question, they haven't come to me, but a lot of that is because the teachers organizing today have gone so above and beyond to give these students support. A lot of these students are incredible in their own right. They walked up on day one and could give their speech effortlessly. Wow. In a way that, I couldn't even have dreamed of when I was in middle school or high school. But there's teachers that are involved with the drama club and musical that are helping out and helping them refine them. So these young people are just going to be incredible.
And when did the planning start for this, Kyle? I'm really intrigued, and it's something maybe I might bring to Port Jervis one day. I think it's great that you're doing this for your community. And when did the planning start for this?
Well, again, I can't take any credit. It was Eric Harrison, John Redeker, sure. But my understanding is they started the process over a year ago. Wow. There's a process where you need to apply to the organization to get approved to use all the branding and everything, and they have specific rules. But other than that, the organizers, they'd be able to answer all the specifics. I definitely can tell you there's a buzz in the community. So what they're doing is already having impact. Yeah. And, it lets people know that there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in Goshen Central School District.
Cool. Well, you're going into your second year. What are your plans for the summer? You going to any conferences, any books that you're going to be reading? What's your plans moving forward here?
So I'm going to the National Principals Association Conference in Boston.
Okay.
I might be saying the organization wrong, but I'll be in Boston for a conference for school leaders.
Okay.
I'm going to Hawaii with my girlfriend, and her family. So excited for that. And overall, just reading and catching up and we have a big capital construction project going on right now.
Yeah.
And the new STEAM lab is being built, and that'll be done by the end of the summer. So a lot of my efforts and energy is going to be focusing on the implementation and making sure that, teachers have all the support they need to fully utilize the space.
Cool.
Because it's one thing to build it, but it's about, using it as well.
If you build it, they will come, and Goshen is doing that. Little plug here, Kyle. I hope to see you at my workshop because I'm presenting at the National Principals Conference.
Okay, excellent. So you've heard of it then.
Summer. Oh yeah, and it's going to be a great deal. It is in Boston, and maybe they'll allow a couple New Yorkers in there. But
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope to see you there, and I wish you the best of luck. This is an exciting adventure, Kyle, and you're on the verge of your TED Talk here, and we hope it makes an impact. If you like the show, leave us a question or a comment. Thank you for tuning in. I know we had some technical difficulties, but it looks like we kind of adjusted and adapted, and that's kind of what it's all about. Kyle, how can people get in touch with you, if they want to reach out to you?
So they can email GCS. Call the office at the high school on Twitter, but as I've been told, I'm not as active on Facebook page.
Okay, very good. And again, Kyle Roddey, I appreciate him coming on the program here. And let's cue up that music again. Kyle, I appreciate you coming on. Let's get
Thank you
this
for
on
having me.
here. And we're going to sign off here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. And Kyle Roddey was our guest today, former mayor in Goshen, New York. And I appreciate you coming on. Good luck in your TED Talk tonight.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Let's cue this music up, and we're going to get him rolling. There we go. Kyle Roddey, everyone, Goshen administrator, and talks tonight. If you Google TED Talks, Goshen TEDx, right? They'll find it?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Signing off, everyone.
Thanks,
Continue
everybody.
to go out and do great work in your schools. Bam.